Hi, Becky.
Hey, Mr. Daniel, how are you?
Doing all right. I was going to try and you disabled the share screen function. I was going to maybe look at a short PowerPoint if possible.
Absolutely.
So whenever I'm up, maybe you can. I'll try and figure it out. I don't know that I've done it on Zoom before. I think I've done it on Teams. All right.
You want to go ahead and let him share his screen? Is that what you want to practice?
Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, we got a couple. Yeah, we got a few minutes. Let's try and see if I can at least get it on. And
Okay, I think you should be able to do it.
now I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not what I wanted.
How about that?
Well,
You're definitely sharing something.
oh, other things, yeah, but I wonder if you are screen sharing. It says I'm sharing, but
We can see it.
Yeah, we see stuff. We see Josephine County Sheriff's Office then and now.
excellent. Sounds good. Well, you can unshare me if you want, and I'll pull it back up later when I start from beginning.
Okay, let me see if I know how to unshare you.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. Stop sharing.
I think it's probably better if he does it.
There we
All
go.
right.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, good. Well, that answers my question whether we have a sheriff's report.
Yeah, I figured it's been a long time since I've been out to CJ with COVID and everything else going on. I figured I might as well just come out. I don't have anything earth shattering for you. Just update. That's really the whole goal for this. Let you know where our office is and some of the trials and tribulations we're going to be facing. So that's the plan.
Yes, I'm sure it'll be many.
Brian, do you intend to have two R. Nolans on there?
I am. In case I need to share the screen, it's easier for me to share the screen from a different computer.
Okay, okay,
So if that's all right, I'm on twice.
that's totally all right.
It also works if I lose internet.
You're planning ahead.
I see Alex is on. I didn't see a place in here for a public works report. Do we want to add that in?
No, it's the second meeting of the month. So typically Public Works will report at the first meeting.
Oh, all right. Yes, I forgot it's the second meeting of the month. Yes.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Nope, Alex is on the spot. He needs to do a report, a PowerPoint, at least a 20-minute presentation. Are you ready, Alex? He just looks,
He's going like, I don't even know how to undo it.
Speaking of that, Becky, how long would you like me to present tonight? What's a reasonable time?
Whatever your heart desires.
Well, I don't want to bury you guys, so I'll try and keep it short and simple anyway. Try to keep it
Okay.
simple.
I'm
Sounds
looking
good.
to see, where do we have that? We have the consent agenda, then the council liaison updates. Oh wait, there it is, agenda 1. I see it. You're the first item up.
Oh, great. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, come on. Go lay down.
Those people asking for entry?
No, that's me trying to get this stuff from stop popping up on my computer.
Oh, I like that name, damn computer.
I That was, I didn't do that. All right, just stay there.
Meadow,
Yes,
concerts in the park has been moved to the May meeting, so they won't be on there if you want to mark that off. your
Yep.
agenda.
I got it. Thank you. So we still have the temporary one, tough trucks?
Yeah,
Okay.
So Julie, if I need a ODOT permit for escorting bulldozers that are overweight out to a marijuana grow to bulldoze them, do I need to call you?
You can. I can help you get those. That's no problem.
Like within like a hour's notice?
Depends on how busy I am. Yeah, I can do that. That's no
Okay.
problem.
All right. Won't want to get a ticket. I got all those past me when I was 16.
Oh my gosh. That's my computer. Oh, stop.
Jean Ann looks entirely too comfortable.
their Skype is on.
How are we doing? A couple more minutes. Who do we have? Everybody?
Everyone on council is present.
Okay. Well, we'll wait.
Sounds
I
like
might-
maybe your computer's trying to eject a USB device, maybe?
It's trying to scan it and I'm trying to say, stop, do not scan.
In your lower right-hand taskbar, there's a little up arrow and you can choose to eject the device, and that might help.
I'm trying that. It won't let me. I'm just gonna pull it out. Hope that'll do it. It's trying to stop it. Cancel. Jeepers. I got one more minute to fix this. That's Ziply. This is Ziply doing this to me.
Jan's, how do you spell that? Jan.
Mayor, is there anything I can help you with? I might know a guy.
It keeps saying it wants to scan and it won't let me eject or stop.
What is on the drive that is in? Do you need access to that drive right now?
No,
Just unplug it.
well, that's what I did once and it still didn't stop. Oh, man, this is driving me nuts. Stop. Cancel. I'm pulling everything out. Okay. I give up. I hope that,
Well, we can't, yeah, we'll have to do something.
I would recommend a system restart.
okay. That means I'll be gone for a minute.
Okay.
Back soon. It won't even let me restart. Right.
Becky, how are you this evening?
Just wonderful.
Sheriff Daniel, how are you?
Perfect.
Good.
I'm lying a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Well, but I'm
There
happy.
seems to be a lot of that going around.
Yeah, you got to keep the positive face at least, right?
It's been
Yes.
a really good couple days for me, so I'm gonna say I'm doing well.
Oh my goodness.
I know, make the rest of us feel really bad, Jesse. Thank you for that.
Well, I just, as a baseball coach, when you see your kids succeed in a great way, it makes you feel better. And
Absolutely.
our small Illinois Valley High School program has positioned themselves to possibly win league, but definitely go state. So it's a good thing.
Good for you
That's
guys.
awesome.
That is awesome.
Still got to win a few more games, but they position themselves well.
Well, if they don't position themselves well, then they don't have any hope. So that's huge.
We got to win 3 more games, so
It's doable.
it's very doable.
That's awesome. 2 of our daughters played club volleyball, and I think we lived volleyball for so many years. It was just unbelievable. And I'm very grateful that they both played their college ball out of the area. So one of them was in Kansas, so we didn't have to go to every game anymore. So that was a real blessing.
It'd be hard for me if my son gets picked up somewhere, which he's got a good shot at. If it'll be tough for me not to at least go to a few a year and watch in person.
Well, we went to a few, but after all the years of watching 2 of them, there's only so much time left. And there were 3 other kids. So
Alex, how are you?
Well, thanks, Jesse.
Ryan, nice to see you.
Hello.
Did I cover everybody? I think I covered.
Does anybody have final rules for the soapbox derby? If we're just chatting, I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Looking
are
forward
you going to
watching
enter?
it.
If I can pull it off, I'll enter. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool, Ryan.
Okay.
We should get one. Sheriff
We'll get that.
Daniel should enter also.
Hold on,
Send out
Dan
your
left the
script for
room.
the public hearing. So we'll
Coming.
have-
Do you have rules for the soapbox derby?
Yeah, we'll have them released this week. I just got to go over them, make sure that
832.
that we're edited. They're done. I just have to go over them.
7979.
I haven't had time.
Okay. There you go. They're coming soon.
The password is 713709. Two 215 8782. Okay.
Oh, we're gonna get hacked.
Okay.
By the boss.
So Jean Ann,
Yes, ma'am.
of you as council president, if you would begin the meeting, do you have the agenda in front of you?
I am finding it right this second. I do have the agenda in front of me. I would
Okay.
like to welcome all of you to the April 25th to 2022 Cave Junction City Council meeting. It is now 7:02 according to my clock on the wall, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have in attendance our city recorder, we have counselor number 1, Ethan Lane, counselor number 2, Tina Casey Jones, counselor number 3, Jean Ann Miles, counselor number 4, Jesse Dugas, and Mayor Martell is getting here soon. We have many, and we have Alex Ponder here, our Director of Public Works, and we have our sheriff here to give us an update and report. And we have many other visitors, and we are grateful for all of you that are in attendance this evening. We have a very busy agenda, so it is probably time for us to begin. First thing will be a report from our sheriff.
Thank you, Councilor President there, Jean Ann. Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to come before you this evening. I think special thanks to Jean Ann who pushed me to reach out to you all. I went to the Grants Pass City Council not too awful long ago, a month or so ago, and kind of talked to them about a potential seasonal sales tax. It's just an option. I'm really not set on any one concept or idea to help budgeting issues with the sheriff's office. But my goal right now is to reach out to you all and them and some stakeholders within the community to try and figure out how we're going to solve a looming problem. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of the sheriff's office and what really has taken place over the last, for starters, the first portion of this, maybe the last 5 years, since 2017, kind of up to current. And then I'll move on into kind of reasons why we are where we're at and kind of how we got there and a little bit of a foundation. And then I'll leave you be. Hopefully it won't be 10 minutes or so, but maybe 15. First, I want to thank you all for the support of the Corrections and Juvenile Detention Levy. That was a game changer for Josephine County, and you all deserve a pat on the back for supporting our juvenile detention levy renewal and the corrections renewal. It has definitely helped us about halfway. So that's a good thing. But I think things since 2017, when that levy passed, things have really changed. In my opinion, for the better. And I think that's in part to our citizenry, who are much more open and willing to interact and interface with law enforcement in the county. And also the great work that our men and women here at the Sheriff's Office are doing that, you don't see on a daily basis, but I do. And it's an amazing number of men and women that we have working for us. Unfortunately, we're losing people to go to other agencies primarily is what's happening. More stable funding stream. They have young families and they want to ensure that they can stay here within this region primarily and raise their families. And so that's a concern that I have and I'm dealing with right now, but that's part of what we're working on. That's part of the fight. Since 2017, we've started some programs that were long since defunct and gone. Resident deputies are here, back again. One out in the valley, one in North area, Merlin, Wolf Creek, Sunny Valley, and then again also down in the south in Murphy and our Williams area and New Hope area. That's a real positive effect on livability for some of those issues where we can address some of the smaller problems that are more frustrating than they are anything else. And those residence deputies get a handle on those. And when those issues come up, we do assign them those activities to take care of, or at least try to handle. We have an animal care division now under the under the Sheriff's Office. We used to have one budget, now we have 3, but that's the animal control, I guess I'll call it. But it's also, I like to call it the animal care division personally, but that's been a real boost. They're running at full capacity, full steam. There are 4 personnel inside that, and they are busy as well, believe it or not. More calls for service, more issues, getting into kennel and farrier permitting systems that we haven't done in a very, very long time, which is really good for everybody, including especially the animals. We have management of our civil division is like no other right now. It is really crazy how good they've gone electronic with some scheduling things. You schedule appointments now, and their CHL's concealed handgun licenses are on about a week turnaround right now, which they never have been as long as I've been here. So kudos to them. And that actually went through a couple different managers that have just helped increase and improve and improve and improve. Very proud of them. We have a canine division back again. Not a biter, not a tracker, not a drug dog. This is a compassion dog. Many of you have probably seen Gibbs running around with Deputy Baird, and he is the biggest, floppiest lip, big, fat-eared yellow lab and golden retriever mix. But they say he's a mix, but actually he's just a pure good old boy, and does great things for not only our citizens, and the kids in the schools, but our employees as well. Help the decompressing with the many difficult situations that they face on a daily basis. Right now we're at 24 hours a day in our dispatch center. OSP is no longer doing those services for us. The city is not interested in Grants Pass. Is not interested in doing those services for us right now. So, or in the form of a contract. So we're on our own, and we will remain on our own for the foreseeable future, if not forever. But that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So even when we have deputies that are now all assigned, patrol deputies assigned to 20 hours a day service, as opposed to 8 back in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, we're providing a better service. It's still not where I want to be. It's still not where I believe we need to be, but it's a step in the right direction. And I'll talk about that a little bit further. Jail. I'm so proud of our corrections division and our jail. We have never stopped, except for a 2-week period when COVID really got us, taking all arrestees. And that's huge. That is not something that has taken place in 95% of the jails and corrections divisions within any sheriff's office in the state of Oregon. That we're not the norm. We are leading the way, actually. So I'm very, very proud of them. They've worked very, very hard. Went through 2 big, horrible bouts of COVID through our jail system. Dropped some of the numbers for a little while, but we're pushing them right back up again as we move along. COVID still has a little impact on our facility and the number of people we can quarantine. So what it does is it creates a box a little bit in the beginning when they're intaked, if we're gonna hang on to them, because we still have to quarantine for a certain period of time. But we followed OSHA and Oregon Health Authority and public health direction, and it's been working out. All of the lawsuits from the jailhouse lawyers have been dismissed by judges. So they tried, they came, they failed, and now we're moving on. We have a detectives division again, a detective sergeant, major crimes detective, 3 JMET detectives, and we're going to be adding more. We have even some openings that we can't fill right now due to hiring freeze, which I can explain in a little bit. Going back to the JMET and the marijuana, and I think it's been a really, wow, what a year last year was. Just the most incredible thing I've ever seen. The amount of criminal activity that came into our county and the amount of people that came from outside our county that introduced that was just catastrophic. But we made an impact. 52 warrants. That's just for a year. That's amazing. And I don't think we're going to see the same this coming year. It'll still be here, and it'll still be dicey. But I'm hearing from the stores that people aren't coming and buying the same type of equipment that they used to. They don't want to come to Josephine County and get their stuff bulldozed, and they want to move on. Doesn't mean they're going to quit doing it. Just maybe doesn't mean they're going to be doing it right here. In 2021, we seized 670,724 marijuana plants, over $1 million in cash, 139 guns, 300 pieces of miscellaneous equipment, generators, heavy machinery, things like that. So we're happy that we're able to do that. Just since 2019, we seized about 829 total plants, 516. and $4 million, 275 guns. So that's this what we did last year, 1 year, and then since 2019. You know, we are always reaching out and searching for alternate forms of funding for the sheriff's office, because we know we're in a tight spot. We go through the Criminal Justice Commission for those illegal marijuana market enforcement grants. Homeland Security grant is for equipment. We go through the Bureau of Justice Assistance for vests, state Justice Reinvestment Act monies through the Criminal Justice Treatment for criminal beds, $400,000. Contract deputies, which obviously we have to keep up those relationships to keep those deputies. Otherwise, especially in the federal side, they'll move that money somewhere else in the blink of an eye and take it away from us. But the BLM, the Marine, and of course, Junction as well. Volunteers, amazing people. We have about 153 volunteers in our sheriff's office right now. It's been pretty steady. We always look for more. And that's through the search and rescue, a very professional group of people, posse and volunteer division as well. So those are real positives. And Becky, I want to try and figure out how to share screen, and I'll go through a very, very short PowerPoint and show you now a little bit as to how we got where we are today, funding wise. And let me see if I can find that here. And can you all see that is the question?
Yes.
Great. A little bit of then and now is kind of what I want to look at, and that'll explain a lot actually as to how we got, you know, where we are. We look at our financial history here, and it goes back to fiscal year 12 to 13. 12 was the big, that was when the heavy hit came. I came into office in 15, 16. 16, 17 is when we passed the corrections levy that really started to ramp us up. And it just, and a lot of that has to do with just hiring. We can't hire really, really fast. We may have a budget, you know, this year of $16 million overall, but we just couldn't find the bodies. We wanted to find the right people. So those are the people that potentially are going to be here serving our citizens and our communities for maybe 20 or more years. Who knows? Here is really the answer to a lot of questions. And if you look at this, and I'm sure hopefully it's all still in color, the blue line is the ONC funds, the federal SRS monies that the county has been receiving historically over time. And the green bar is our population and where we've been, well, yeah, it's 45,000 back in 2075. Now we're all the way up to almost 87,000 in population. Well, what's really depressing about this particular chart is look at the decline starting in about 2005, and that's when we were like, oh, what are we going to do? Try to pass levies, try to do this. What was it? 3-4 levy attempts to try and shore up some loss of ONC revenue. Going down into 2012. That's where it happened. And that's why the sheriff's office was in the predicament it was without any other type of stabilized funding. And so we bounced around for a few years. 2015, when I was elected, it did nothing but get worse. So now we're taking even more of a hit, and we're talking millions of dollars here, not just a few $100,000, but millions of dollars. And I hate to say it, but you just can't run a business without any type of inventory. That's kind of how I see it. And that's where we're at. And that's technically why we're struggling for the most part today. The corrections levy was paid for by the citizens of our county. We decided to take care of ourselves, all the while ONC and the federal government decided not to let us cut any timber. And here we are today. As a result, I think there was some trust built. I think there was transparency and trust that I tried to introduce. And because people, in my opinion, weren't calling a lot of the time. Now that you have the dispatchers in there, you have the deputies on the road, the calls for service have drastically gone up, and they've gone up every year. And I think that's partly because of what we're doing here, and partly because our citizenry now sees a service that is worthy of their time. to go out and make that contact and getting a better service is basically what I'm trying to say. It just says how our corrections levy is funded. 87% of the jail operations, 13 come from jail revenue. So operations fund, which is our patrol and our administration, and this is pretty telltale. We generate 26% of our own revenue to support our operations through just different various funds that we draw from, fees, things like that. 74 comes from the general fund, O&C, SRS, and contingency funds. And going back to my previous slide, two slides ago, you now know what our O&C monies are doing, and that's 74% of our budget. And those decrease in the general fund obviously is going to be passed through to a decrease in our funds. So, here I am. We're looking at what to do, because I can tell you honestly, we're going to be this year. We're going to be not in a good spot this fiscal year coming 22-23. But we've used a lot of ARPA funds and some one-time funds to really kind of get us by the best we can. I'll be going in front of the budget committee here on the 10th of May, and I'll be basically providing them a PowerPoint of the budget and where we're at, and then also a PowerPoint of where I need to be at full steam. So I looked at different options out there for how we're going to fix this shortfall, which the shortfall is, from what I'm understanding, it's going to be 5.4 million this coming year. Like I said, again, much of that has been shored up to the tune of about 3.4, 3.5 million. Don't quote me, but it's in that ballpark. So we're going to come in a little under 2 million, somewhere right in there short, and we're finalizing those numbers now. I will tell you that could potentially mean up to 13 deputies. And then when I say 13 deputies, I mean 13 patrol deputies. Therefore, no more night shift. I wouldn't know how else to do it. So do we look at an income tax, a taxing district, a seasonal public safety tax? What do we do? And that's really where I'm at right now within the sheriff's office, and as kind of a state of where we're at. And I would love to entertain, if anybody has a few minutes for questions. I'm still working diligently on trying to find an answer and an option that is palatable for our citizens. But I'm sorry to say that we're going to have to do something locally. We can't, the federal monies are not going to be there. And it's not getting any cheaper to run this office or any business in general, with gas prices and inflation and cost of living going up. So are there any questions? I would love to entertain them, but not take any more of your time.
This is not open to the public at this time. But I will ask the counselors if they have any questions, starting with Council 1.
Sheriff Daniel, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. I don't have any other questions other than, is there any chance of the O&C funds coming back around maybe in the next couple of years? I understand not this year, probably not next year. Any chance on the horizon for that?
There's always a chance. I think you're talking about federal legislation. And when you have, two of our representatives, the federal government, want absolutely nothing to do with those funds, and one that wants to get back in the woods, then yes, there's a potential possibility, but I can't count on it, and I certainly wouldn't guarantee it.
Thank you. Council 2, any questions?
No questions, just a thank you to you and your entire team, deputies, detectives, volunteers. You guys do a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
I hear it from everybody.
Thank you, Councilor.
Council 3?
Yes. As always, I have questions, Dave.
Keep it short.
My question for you is, if there were a seasonal sales tax, because that would be during a time we have our tourists in town, what difference do you think that would make?
It's hard to tell. The economist in Salem right now, we have an economist in Salem crunching those numbers for us. In particular, Commissioner Bear Trigger has reached out. We're waiting for those numbers. I'm hoping to get them this week. So I don't know. The bad thing about a sales tax is there's ebb and flow with the economy. The bad thing about a taxing district is it hits the property taxes, and that's it. So everybody pays with the seasonal sales tax. I'm not hearing a whole lot of love, to be quite frank with you, from the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Grants Pass regarding a seasonal tax, and that may be off the deal. But I have May, and I have I have November, then May to try and get something going.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor number 4, do you have any questions?
No questions. I think you're doing a good job. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
I just have one question. Some of the money that came out of the legislature this year, especially for the illegal marijuana, is that going to help you at all?
It'll help me, yes, very much so. And it'll help me in 2 ways. Number one, it's going to help me in the form of it can only be spent on marijuana enforcement. So if I have to lay people off, I will be able to backfill those monies or those positions with JMET funds. So that's really the one good thing, and which in turn would help the investigations that we conduct on literally a daily basis. But it's not going to help my patrol situation. No,
you're right. Well, thank you very much. That was a very good presentation. I really do appreciate everything you do. And I apologize for my computer meltdown. And even though I missed part of your presentation, the good news is has been recorded, so I can hear the beginning of it.
Feel free to, if anyone wants to ever reach out and give me a phone call personally, I would be happy to take a phone call from anyone on the council. You're the leaders of your community, and I think it's important that we try to stay in touch a little more than maybe we have. Any suggestions, comments, concerns, don't ever hesitate. And thank you very much for your time tonight.
Well, thank you very much for your time tonight. Really appreciate it. So moving on to agenda item number 2 is our consent agenda. And in there we have our minutes of our previous meeting. We have 2 OLCC requests, one from Bruno's Cavern, Ben Phillip, and the other Perfect Pizza Plus. Plus we have a park use request, just one now, and that's for a temporary liquor license for the Tough Trucks and the Jubilee Park Labor Day. So I would entertain a motion in a second to approve the consent agenda.
I move we
Motion we
approve
approve.
consent agenda.
Okay,
Okay, I'll second it then.
thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further a discussion? I'll start with Councilor number 1.
Nope, the only thing that I saw was that for Bruno's Cavern, there wasn't a floor plan layout for their OLCC application, which they will very likely have questions about. So I know that might not be a city council thing, but he should be advised of that.
Okay, thank you. Councilor number 2,
No, I have no questions.
Councilor number 3,
No questions. Thank you.
and Councilor number 4.
No questions.
Thank you very much. So hearing no further discussion, how do you vote, Council 1 on the consent agenda?
Aye.
Council 2,
Aye.
Council 3,
Aye.
Council 4,
Aye.
and the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. So next agenda item is our council liaison updates. And since I can definitely count 1 through 4, I'll start with council number 1.
I have one update at this time. The IVFD awards banquet was this Saturday, and unfortunately, it was unable to attend, but it looks like it was a great time and fun had by all.
Oh, good. Councilor number 2, Ms. Casey Jones.
Yeah, no updates at this time for the Parks and Rec Division.
Thank you. Councilor number 3, Jean Ann Miles.
Well, I was lucky. I got to visit some of Ethan's friends. We went to Hermiston for the League of Oregon Cities Spring Conference, and I met the owners of Grocery Outlet from Myrtle Creek and found out, we just sat at the table, found out they're friends of Ethan. So that was really kind of a fun thing. and nice people. I met a lot of really nice people, did a lot of networking. And we were going to take a selfie together, Ethan, to prove to you that I was there, but didn't get that done. Saw some great conferences. And before the conference actually began, I got there early on Wednesday and got to be there for the Oregon Broadband Office listening session. They are going around listening to different communities to find out what communities could use support from that money. And they have a huge pot of money that they're going to be doling out starting in December. And I made my impassioned plea, as I'm so want to do, trying to encourage, saying that our squirrels have great internet, even though the rest of us may not. And because our ISP providers say that the squirrels have great internet here, even though our citizens don't. And it was just a great discussion. So I'm hopeful that something good may come of that. Saw some great sessions of conference, spoke about, there was a session about diversity and inclusion, one about homeless solutions, and found out that in Sutherland, they're doing a program very similar to what we are doing, what we want to do here in our community, and very similar to the Rogue Retreat model that's also being used in Grants Pass as well as Medford. Great session about legislative updates and engaging our community. That was on Friday, and ways to try to encourage more of our community members to be involved in what we do. And then the last session was about property tax reform. And let me tell you that, one of the very first sessions was about harnessing the power of home rule and understanding what that means to our community. And that means that we get to set the rules for our community, and that goes in with our charter and how important that is. There was also a meeting about housing production and ways to encourage more housing. The meetings in particular about housing production and about the homeless inclusion piece were really important, I think, for our community, and things that I really enjoyed, took lots of notes on. So I'm going to try to write up a report, send to the other counselors so that they have an idea of what happened. I really want to encourage for the next conference, which is October 5th through 7th in Bend. I really want to try to encourage all of our counselors to make room on their calendar so they can attend that. I don't know what we're going to end up doing money-wise, maybe just beg and borrow and ask LOC for scholarships so that we can all attend. But there's great knowledge to be gained at these conferences, and it's really worth our time, all of us, to be able to attend there. So that's the big thing that I want to encourage everyone. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Casey Jones? Any updates?
No, you already got me.
Oh,
Yes,
all right.
Karen.
I'm sorry. I can't even go count. I should count them. It's much better. Let's see. Councillor Dugas, do you have any updates for us?
Yeah, the golf course is in full swing. There's tournaments coming up. They started league play on Monday nights. Still accepting teams from what I've been informed, but it's nice to see the weather changing and the golf course busy. Other than that, no updates.
Okay, thank you. I have actually a number of updates. I'll try to make it really quick. The first one is about the Rare AmeriCorps person. I did send in another application for a Rare AmeriCorps person. As you probably know by now, our wonderful Rare person, Rowan Fairfield, is not staying, is going to be moving on and looking for a job. So I reapplied, and we've gotten to the point now where interviews with the Rare staff to see if we're a good match for their program. And what I'm looking at a Rare person to do is to continue the sport for our Main Street organization as a first priority. A second one is help coordinate the partnership with Energy Trust of Oregon, looking at low income and projects in the Illinois Valley and in Cave Junction. And then a third project would be doing our natural hazardous mitigation plans, community education and outreach. So I think it's a broad enough variety of tasks to keep somebody interested and busy, and all things that would really be a benefit to our community. Let's see, the other thing I attended Rural Development Initiatives Economic Vitality meeting in Chiloquin with Amy Lusson, who is the vice president of our Main Street Cave Junction program. And it was very interesting. Chiloquin, even though is much smaller than Cave Junction, about a third our size, but they still have a lot of very similar problems to us, buildings that are empty or and what to do with them. So it was really interesting to see another rural community and how they're dealing with their problems and making changes in their community. And we had a lot of other interesting things with rural development initiatives. They did some time looking at building on what assets a community has, best practices for reaching out into your community. And I think that, well, a lot of stuff, but I don't want to go into everything. So after the meeting in Chiloquin, I drove up to Hermiston. So I've gotten to see a lot of interior and Eastern Oregon, and for the LSE conference. And before the conference started, I had a Oregon Mayors Association meeting, and the most interesting, not the most interesting thing, but that we had a good presentation during that meeting about Cottage Grove did a pretty extensive survey on homelessness in their area. And they did a presentation about some of the information that they learned from there. So it's actually was very interesting, and I'll be sharing this with you, Jean Ann, so you can have some of that information.
Thank you.
Then the LOC conference, as Councilor Miles said, was really very interesting. It was helpful having a second counselor there, because then we got to cover just about every breakup session. I tended to focus more on capital improvement projects and looking at strategies of ways to modernize our facilities. The home rule one was very interesting. I went to another federal funding and infrastructure meeting, which was excellent, because just about every funding state and there was ODOT was there, Business Oregon was there. It was well attended and a lot of really good information. And let's see, what did I do that was different? Oh, I also went to a recruitment and retention meeting that was really focused on the changes that's happening for businesses and city governments hiring people. That all the changes that's happened, they call it the great, what they call it, the great evacuation or something like that, because there's been some really big changes in recruiting and retaining people. So that was interesting. I also did a very interesting workshop on system development charges, and I've shared a lot of this with our Public Works Director, Alex Ponder. And again, that because there was some good information in there. Also, and again, the property tax information was very interesting, and also the home rule one. So let's see what else I have on my list. I think that's enough. It's been a busy 2 weeks. So I'm going to keep us moving on. Agenda item number 4 is public comment. And did we receive any written public comments, Becky?
Yes, one request.
Okay. I'll hold on to that for just a minute. Let me let people know how we run the public comment Zoom meeting. So tonight we'll open it up via chat. So anyone wishing to make a 3-minute or less public comment should send a chat to our city recorder and provide your name, address, and telephone number. And the city recorder will call on each of you to unmute and provide your comments. And for those that are speaking, the city recorder will hold up a yellow card that will alert you that you have 20 seconds remaining of your 3 minutes to wrap up your comments quickly before you will be muted by the city recorder. And then for the last thing, just remember to stop sending chats after the public section is over, public comment section is over. All chats are printed out and become part of the permanent record. So, and they're very distracting. So no chats after public comments over. So you want to go ahead and open up for do you want to read the first one we have, Becky?
Okay, so for the record, no written comments were received. We have 2 people requesting to make public comment.
Oh, my misunderstanding. I thought you, people were already signed up. Got it. All right, I'll let you take over then.
So the first request is from Monique Allen.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to come and provide some additional comments on what's been going on in town. I want to say thank you to Sheriff Daniels as well as Fire Chief Holmes. Your presence in the Valley has been wonderful. The increased presence of the deputies is bringing a lot of positive changes. I've been happy the town's looking a little bit cleaner. I noticed there's been a few traffic stops, which are kind of helping make the roads a little bit safer. Although, just an idea, Sheriff Daniels, you could do a little bust on handicap parking spots. Something not quite as important, but seeing a lot of people park in handicap spots, it really shouldn't be. Again, thank you both in your organizations. It's great to see us moving forward. I want to say Easter, I thought went over well. The Ivy Lions Club hosted Easter in the park. We had a great turnout. It was a lot of fun. And what other exciting stuff is going on? So the Ivy Chamber of Commerce is getting ready to do the concerts in the park coming up this summer. That's going to be exciting. Chamber of Commerce has a meeting Wednesday at 10 a.m. for the board of directors. It's open to the public at 11. Also Wednesday, the CJ Main Street is having its meeting. And we're working on a bunch of wonderful projects. We're hoping to see a few of them more come through. We've got the Soapbox Derby coming up, which Mr. Mancuso is going to give us an update on hopefully shortly. That should be a lot of fun for the town, as well as all the wonderful work being done on the Homeless Resource Center. So I just want to say that the last thing actually is the Oregon Energy Trust. There was talk last time that they're going to be coming out and helping commercial buildings in Cave Junction with lighting upgrades. I did see 3 gentlemen showed up at one of my buildings to look and count our lighting and to see what needs to be done. And so I grabbed them and I took a hold of the opportunity and took them on a tour of 3 different properties that I'm interested in getting upgrades for. They made a lot of notes. They had a lot of helpful information. I'm looking forward to hearing more from them about how that process is going to work. But it was great to see their presence. They came out, they're knocking on doors, they're talking to business owners and letting them know it's available, which is something that this town doesn't get enough of. And then to wrap it up, I just want to say thank you to everybody for everything that's going on. It finally feels like Cave Junction we're bouncing back. We're coming back bigger and better. And I see a wonderful future of growth and prosperity and community as a lot more of us groups are working with each other instead of against each other. So that was all I had.
Thank you. Laura Mancuso has requested to make a public comment. Somewhere.
Is Laura Mancuso still on?
She was.
Oh, there she is. You're muted, Laura.
Okay.
There she is.
Sorry about that. I got a new system here. I just wanted to invite council to our town hall meeting to discuss our facility for our unhoused in the Valley. And it will be Thursday, this coming Thursday, the 28th at 4 p.m. at Ivy High School. We have a lot of concerns about the neighbors on the property that we have recently purchased, which is on Caves Highway on the corner of Dogwood. And I would really appreciate people attending and showing their support for what we're trying to do with the amazing funding that we got from the state to provide this. I really think that we're on the road to becoming a very caring community, and I would like to see some friendly faces in the audience. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Mr. Mancuso asked if he could speak during the public hearing. There will be time then to make public comment specifically about the public hearing. The next comment or public comment would come from Benjamin Phillip.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for the time. First of all, to the council, thank you for the approval of Bruno's Cavern being able to move one step closer to opening up. As we've been going through the plan, one of the reasons there wasn't a finalized floor plan in the thing is that trying to continue to make it all ages, we had to switch up the floor plan recently. So we're still finalizing that with the OLCC. I've also been working with Alex Ponder about different resource management stuff, including parking. And I just wanted to, I think next meeting, I'll be addressing a little more in detail some of the things that have come up with the parking situations. In general, I think that the parking mandates are a little bit out of date. We don't really have definitions for how big motorcycle or bicycle parking or compact vehicle, electric vehicle parking. None of those are in the city council code right now. Also, that's not really addressed. Does a bicycle parking space count the same as a car parking space, or is it 4 bicycle spaces as a space? So I'm doing some research into other townships and how they address the definitions as well as the use of all those types of parking. And I just wanted to give you the heads up that that's coming the next meeting. If anybody'd like to reach out or talk to me, that's great. I'll try to send over some stuff before the meeting to give you plenty of time to do research and look at what we're going to be talking about. And what I'm hoping to get done is just an update, a little modernization of the code. So.
Thank you.
I don't see any further public comment requests.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you everyone that took advantage of our public comment time. So the next agenda item number 5, I would like to appoint budget committee members. I have 2, Patrick Scully. It's a reappointment to serve from 2022 through 2024. And the second budget committee appointment is Rick Derringer, and it will be to serve the remaining term of 2022. So I would entertain a motion in a second to approve my appointments of Patrick Scully and Rick Derringer to the budget committee.
I motion we approve.
I second.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion, a second to approve the budget committee members. Is there any further discussion? And I'll start with council number 1.
Negative.
Council number 2.
Will this complete our budget committee just with these 2 people?
Becky, do you have an answer for that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Council number 3.
I was wondering who Rick is replacing.
Angela from last year, Angela.
Got it, Angela Alexander. Okay, thank you.
And council number 4, any questions?
None at this time.
Okay, no, hearing no further discussion, how do you vote, council 1?
Can I make a correction, Mayor?
Yes.
Rick is not replacing Angela. Rick is replacing Robin Paulson. I apologize. Robin.
Okay.
Robin moved out of the city limits.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, back to the vote. How do you vote, council 1?
Aye.
Council 2?
Aye.
Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
So let's see, agenda item number 6 is resolution 946, a resolution accepting amendments to the Public Works Developers Guide adopted in 2021. I would entertain a motion in a second to, is this the second? Do I want to, all right, I would entertain a motion a second to approve resolution number 946.
The motion either has to be read, Mayor and
Okay,
council.
that's what's missing. Okay,
I would
stop.
move
I'm gonna,
that we read it by title only.
thank you. I was gonna say that.
I kind of got that vibe.
Yeah,
I'll second that motion.
thank you. I'll call the vote on that motion to read by title only. How do you vote, Council 1?
Aye.
Council 2?
Aye.
Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Motion
So-
passes 5-0 to read resolution 946 by title only. Would you like to do that, Mayor? Or would you like me to do that?
Would you do that, please?
Resolution 946, a resolution for the city of Cape Junction to accept edits, updates, application format changes, and corrections to design standards manual guidelines for development. Resolution 946.
Thank you. So, all right, any further discussion? Council 1?
We have to make a motion to accept resolution.
Oh, wait,
946.
that's right. We did. All right, I would entertain a motion to accept a motion is second to approve resolution 946.
I move that we approve resolution 946.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All right, now I will ask for discussion. Let's see. Council 1, do you have any discussion on the resolution?
No, ma'am.
Council number 2,
No, I'm good.
council number 3,
Yes, I'm really glad to see that
Yeah.
there are some updates being done to this piece. I was really afraid once we approved that development guide that it would just sit there and go stagnant. I'm glad to see it isn't doing that. That's really encouraging. Thank you.
council number 4.
None at this time.
I'll just, my only comment was similar to Councilor Miles says, I really do appreciate all the time and effort our Public Works Director and staff have put into making sure that this development manual fits the needs of the city of Cave Junction. So hearing no further discussion, how do you vote? Council 1,
Aye.
Council 2,
Aye.
Council 3,
Aye.
Council 4,
Aye.
Council 5. Oh, excuse me, the mayor. I just got
Motion
carried away.
passes. Did the mayor vote?
Yes, the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, agenda item number 7 is ordinance 592. Amending MC is for, what does MC stand for?
Municipal code.
Municipal code.
Municipal Code 1.16.010 to establish clear criteria to determine qualified electors. And this is reading this is a second reading of 2 readings. And ordinance 592 was read in full and by title on April 11th, 2022. So I would entertain a motion to read the ordinance 592 by title only this evening.
I'll make that motion to read an ordinance number 592 by title only.
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
Okay, so how do you vote, Council 1?
Can I read the ordinance 592 by title only? It's a simple thing, but
Oh, that's right. We don't have to. You're right. Go ahead.
okay, you're correct, Mayor. We need to take a vote.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. So the vote is to read by title only. How do you vote, Council 1?
I vote aye.
Council 2?
Aye.
Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. So now you can read the ordinance by title only.
Motion passes 5-0. Ordinance 592, an ordinance to amend the Cave Junction Municipal Code, Title 1, Chapter 16, sections 010 to establish clear criteria to be used by the city's elections officer to determine a qualified elector. Ordinance number 592.
So I would entertain a motion and a second to approve ordinance 592.
I move that we accept and approve ordinance number 592.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 592. And is there any further discussion? Council 1,
Negative.
Council 2,
I'm good.
Council 3,
I think this is an excellent thing to have on our books. Thank you.
Council 4, I mean, the mayor and the Council 4.
My whole thing just glitched and I lost the last 2 minutes. And so I'm gonna sustain if we're at that point because it just paused on me and I didn't hear anything past the resolution being read.
All right.
Means abstain.
Abstain.
All right, so we have one abstention, and the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 4-1.
We
Okay.
didn't vote yet. All we did was have discussion.
Oh, well then, yes, I can vote. I'm comfortable voting aye.
Okay,
If that's
so
where we are.
my apologies, I got mixed up there.
Yes,
Okay,
aye.
so now I'm gonna, no further discussion, I'm gonna call the vote. How do you vote? Council 1?
Aye.
Council 2?
Aye.
Council 3?
Aye.
Council 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, now moving on. Agenda item number 8 is public hearing. Fuel station convenience store, CK Designs, located at 145 North Redwood Highway. And this is a type 2 change of use for or new business continuation. So I'm going to suspend the council meeting and open a public hearing. Hold on a second, a whole new script. Again, this is a continuation of a hearing, but I still have to read all the information about this public hearing. So tonight we are continuing the public hearing regarding an application for a fuel station / convenience store at 145 North Redwood Highway. This application was submitted by Clyde White, PNE Construction, representing CK Designs LP. This property is identified as Assessor's Map 39-08-21-AA Tax Lot 3105. This is a request for a change of use / new business type 3 legislative hearing. The first public hearing for this application was held on April 11th, 2022, and was continued to this evening. For the purpose of this continuation hearing, the City Council will act as Planning Commission. The hearing will proceed as follows. After the preliminary legal matters that I will take the Planning Commission through, staff will make a presentation followed by the applicant's presentation. Any citizens who wish to address the issue will be given the opportunity. Finally, there will be time for rebuttal by the applicant. The applicant will have 15 minutes for the presentation plus 10 minutes for rebuttal. Any members of the audience that wish to speak to this hearing specifically must forward a chat to the city recorder and state in the body of their chat agenda item number 8 and provide their name and telephone number. The city recorder will call on each person that has provided this information in a chat. The Planning Commission members may ask questions of the applicant's staff or anyone else who testifies. Legal matters. Burden of proof, criteria, and appeal rights. The applicant has the burden of proving that the application is consistent with the City of Cave Junction's Development Code, Comprehensive Plan, and any applicable municipal code provisions. The criteria that must be addressed in this hearing are listed under 2.0 of the staff report provided, dated April 4th, 2022. Any testimony, argument, or evidence that speakers provide must be directed at these criteria or at some other criteria in the code or comprehensive plan which you believe should apply to this decision. If your testimony would be repetitious, but you would like the opportunity to appeal the decision, you must provide a chat to the city recorder that states agenda item number, what number are we? 7. Your name, address, and phone number. Only those who have appeared before this planning commission in person or in writing will have standing to appeal this item. Prior to the conclusion of this public hearing, the applicant or anyone who takes part in the hearing may request a continuance or ask that the record be left open to present additional information. If there is such a request, the planning commission will either continue the public hearing to a date certain or leave the record open for at least 7 days for additional written evidence, argument, or testimony. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to allow the planning commission and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Conflicts of interest. Do any members of this planning commission wish to declare a potential or actual conflict or interest or bias? Should I go through everyone? Council 1?
Yes, I did receive an email from an ex parte contact, but it was not invited.
Council 2?
No contact or bias.
Council 3?
I had contact from a member of the community that was not invited.
This is
Council 4?
We need to go back. I heard Becky speak.
we're actually talking about conflict of interest.
Yes, that's what.
I do not have a conflict of interest.
Also do not have a conflict of interest.
Okay, we're at Council 4.
I do not have a conflict of interest.
And the mayor has no conflict of interest. Now we can do the ex parte contacts. Do any members of this planning commission wish to report any site visits or ex parte contacts? Council 1?
Yes, I did visit the site several times and I did get an email from an ex parte contact that was not invited.
Thank you.
Mayor
Council-
Martell,
Yes,
this is Ryan Nolan. I would suggest that that Ethan, if he read that, describe what was in that so that the rest of the body and the applicant is aware of what that statement was.
are you able to do that, Councilor Lane?
The statement of what are you insisting?
What was the
on?
communication that you received regarding this application outside of a public hearing?
I got a statement from a community member in regards to traffic counts at the intersection of 199 and River. But I haven't really taken them into consideration with so much information already at hand. I visited the site several times, which I'm sure we'll talk about and get into. Is there anything else that you'd like on that?
I think that would work. We just need to make sure that the applicant's aware of what other information you have so that they can ask you about it or
Okay,
discuss that.
The only information that I have in regards to an ex parte contact is that they conducted their own traffic study. And I don't know that I can compare it to the existing information. So it's null and void at this time, in my opinion.
okay, thank you. Council 2?
Yes, I did. I too visited the site. And I also had a conversation with Trina, who owns the River Valley Restaurant across the street, which one of our other people, I believe she's on, Monique Allen, had mentioned that the owner of the River Valley Restaurant was concerned about traffic cutting through their parking lot as well. The gist of the conversation was, yeah, it happens sometimes, but not that often. So that was the extent of the whole conversation.
Thank you. Councilor number 3?
I also have visited that site on several locations at several times and received probably the same information that Councilor Lane received. I too have not, I actually have not read it. I discussed with this community member the results of this updated traffic study and was, I think it was intended to be an updated traffic study. because the data that was provided to us was, back in January. So I think to have updated information, it was the intent of that the new traffic study done by a local community member.
Mr. Nolan, is that sufficient for that contact?
That's helpful to explain. I would just remind counselors that with a land use decision, all discussion and homework should be done in a public meeting. So this would be an example where the applicant may ask for additional time so that they can have access to whatever information you had. So just be aware of that. And if they do want to see that information that you received, that would be an appropriate time to allow extension or continuation of the hearing.
Okay, thank you. Counselor number 4.
I have visited the site around 10 times since our last meeting, but nobody has contacted me over anything. It was independent on my own behalf.
And the mayor has had no ex parte contacts, and the extent of my visiting the site is I drive past there a number of times a day, sometimes. Okay, so moving on, challenges to the Planning Commission's jurisdiction. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the jurisdiction of the City Council to act as Planning Commission to hear this matter? So how is that? Becky, do people have to put something in the chat?
They could put something in the chat. They could raise their hands. Give them just a few moments to do so.
Are you seeing anything?
I don't see any hands raised. And there is no comment in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Challenges to the impartiality of any member of the Planning Commission. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the impartiality or ex parte disclosure of any member of this Planning Commission? And either raise your hand or put a contact the city recorder by chat. I see no hands. Any comment on chat?
No chat.
Okay. So this concludes the legal matters. The next is a staff report and presentation. And Ryan Nolan, the city's contract planner from RVCOG, will present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor Martell. And yes, for the record, I'm Ryan Nolan from RVCOG. Did I hear something?
It was weird.
So this is the continuation of the hearing. And so I'll do a brief review again of the staff report just to remind us where we were. So this is a site plan review for a change of use and a new structure. So it's an existing commercial building at 145 North Redwood Highway, which was previously a Radio Shack. The applicant is proposing a change of use to convenience store and fuel station with a new commercial fueling station canopy. So staff reviews the application and reviews it against the relevant criteria that the city has already adopted. So keep in mind that over the history of the city, we've adopted a comprehensive plan that tells us what we will do with different properties in the city and develops goals related to economic development and land use. Then we adopt municipal code sections that lay out what the process is for review of any land development and what the criteria we are supposed to judge those applications are. So all of the rules have already been set. So for this review, it's a site plan review. We look at section 17.14.210, which talks about what a site plan has to have in the application and what the process is for reviewing that. It's also in 17.14.030, requires certain property notices that go out to neighboring properties, requires a public hearing and rules of participation. And then we have the actual criteria by which we review and judge the site plan, 17.14.250. So there are 5 criteria. First, the application is complete as determined in accordance with Chapter 17.14, Article 2, Types of Applications, and Section 17.14.160. So city staff, which would be Lisa and myself, reviewed the application. We had a little bit of back and forth with the applicant. We went through a pre-application conference. We received comments from ODOT and Josephine County. We reached out and requested that the applicant submit a traffic impact analysis related to the proposed use. They did that, submitted all the required site plan showing the setback, showing the heights of buildings, showing the elevation drawings, showing the landscape plan, showing the number of parking spaces, showing the width of the driveways, etc. So all of that was received, and the correct payment was received, and the property owner signed the application. So the application was complete. That was deemed complete on February 24th. So by state law, we as the city have 120 days to provide a decision. So that would leave us a deadline of June 23rd that we have in order to provide a decision. So in that list of criteria, we also have criteria B. The application complies with all of the applicable provisions of the underlying land use district, including building yard setbacks, lot area, dimensions, density, floor area, lot coverage, building height, building orientation, architecture, and other special standards. So when we look at that, it's a pre-existing structure that was built relatively recently that meets and in fact exceeds all of the architectural design requirements. They've incorporated those architectural design elements into the new canopy, and again have exceeded the requirements for architectural design. They're meeting all of the building setbacks. They're meeting the height standards. Everything's less than 45 feet. They're meeting all the vision clearance requirements at driveways, which is a requirement. There's a 10-foot triangle that's clear for the view of people and vehicles. They have a pedestrian amenity in that they have an extra wide sidewalk at the front of the building. They'll be required to provide bicycle parking, and they are exceeding the required number of vehicle parking spaces. So originally they had proposed 17 parking spaces. After discussion at the previous hearing, they've submitted revised parking lot design, which has 14 parking spaces, which exceeds the requirement by 1. And then they have provided a loading zone, which the applicant can discuss. So in staff's opinion, they have met or exceeded all of our predetermined criteria for a new commercial use in the commercial zone. And that's based on our predetermined standards in section 17.28 and 17.14. So the next section, the applicant shall be required to upgrade any existing development that does not comply with the applicable land use district standards. So as I said, this site was relatively recently developed. There are no known non-conforming standards. The building is conforming in architectural design, setbacks, landscaping is conforming, everything's paved, everything will be paved in their plan. The sign is complying. They're going to change the face, but potentially essentially keep that sign. So there's nothing non-conforming about the site that they would be required to fix as part of this application. The next section, D, the application complies with the design standards contained in Titles 17 and 16 unless exception is made. Again, those were reviewed with the review of the commercial zoning standards and the site plan review standards. They're not proposing any division of land, so Title 16 doesn't apply. So everything conforms with the requirements of Title 17. And again, another section E, conditions as part of a land division, conditional use permit, or master plan development shall be met. So they are not proposing land division. A convenience store / fuel station is allowed in the general commercial and does not require a conditional use permit. And this is not part of a master plan development. So in staff's opinion, all of the criteria for a site plan review are met. And I will point out, though, that I think rightfully so, there was some concern potentially related to queuing or traffic patterns, especially related to fuel deliveries and convenience store product deliveries. So at the last hearing, it was expressed that the City Council would like to hear more from the applicant. So the applicant has provided some additional information that's in the packet that shows some new areas described to be reserved for loading and delivery, and also some traffic patterns that show the ingress and egress that a fuel truck would take or a larger delivery truck. So The applicant is here. I see Jan is present, Alan is present, and I think they have several other members. I think that Howard and Joe are also with the applicant. Also tonight, it was nice of them to agree to attend. Julie Scruggs from ODOT and Micah Horowitz from ODOT are here. And I'm hopeful that Micah can speak a little bit about the review process that ODOT goes through in reviewing a new use at an approved driveway, and then maybe answer any questions that are specific from the city council. So it's a lot of quick review, but my main point is that the staff's opinion is that all criteria are met. If the planning or the city council in this case wants to work with the applicant to come to any mutual conditions that they feel help the situation, that would be appropriate. If there's anybody on the city council who's thinking that they would like to deny this, I would stress that you need to find a specific criteria in the code that they're not meeting. Staff have not found that. They're providing the parking that's required. They have all of the standards met. I can agree that somebody might feel that it's a small lot for a gas station, but our code does not have a specific lot size or footprint size for a gas station. And in fact, it's probably larger than several of the gas stations previously in Cave Junction have been. So with that said, there's time for additional input from the applicant to hopefully allay any fears that some of the city council have. And then time for questions and a little back and forth with ODOT. So if there are any questions at this point, Mayor Martell, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
All right, let me check in with council. If any council member has a question for our planner, would just raise your hand so I can see it.
I think Jesse has his hand up.
Okay, I'll start with Council. Was that Councilor Dugas? Did you have a question?
I do not at this time.
That's what I thought. Okay, Councilor Lane.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I'm super interested in hearing the applicant's new information, and I want to make sure that we have questions. We're able to have questions after that.
Yes, it will be appropriate after the applicant speaks for council to ask questions of them. And then I would strongly suggest that we ask Micah to speak after the applicant, and then also ask Micah and Julie if there are any questions we have from ODOT.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time, I believe it is the time for the applicant's presentation or further comments that they would like to add. And who is speaking for the applicant?
I am Jan Schucher.
Thank you. You
Hi,
have the floor.
Thank you. We were really excited to come back because I think we spent a lot of time trying to make sure to address everyone's questions and concerns pertaining to the site. Alan Sipe, the architect, will be showing some slides addressing these items. We've also invited onto the call the traffic engineer, as well as another member from the traffic engineer's office, who's also a former employee, a longtime employee of ODOT, who have both reviewed both our initial plan as well as our revisions to try to address all of the city council member and public concerns. Really, our goal is to revitalize the site within the appropriate zoning that is approved at this location. The focus is to provide a diverse C-store offer, including fast, ready-to-eat meals, and then also address future transportation needs with electric charging, biodiesel, and gasoline. Cave Junction currently possesses no EV fast charging infrastructure, and we see electric charging as a critical driver of tourism to the community. We are making a substantial investment in the DC fast chargers, which provide the fastest charging option to customers, eliminating the wait time of the 2+ hour charges offered at 50 kilowatt locations in the surrounding communities. We've included exhibits which show nearby electric fast charging locations, including those to the south in Crescent, which is 53 miles away. That is the nearest fast charging location to your town to the south. And then 28 miles to the north in Grants Pass. Alan, if you could put up kind of the map. I think everyone is already aware where those cities are located and the distances in between. Both of those locations really do have limited charging availability for high traffic periods. The addition of an additional fueling location within town will also be a competitive pressure that will help reduce gas prices through that competition. We've updated the site plan to reflect the recent feedback from you, the City Council. Our revised site plan allows more space for vehicular movement from the parking spaces, and we have created a dedicated loading zone for deliveries. Through great longstanding relationships with our vendors, we've revised delivery schedules to ensure deliveries would occur at different times of day for the primary members and different days of the week to minimize traffic congestion and improve customer access and convenience. Our fuel supplier is committed to deliver fuel at non-peak, low-volume traffic hours outside of the time when we normally get any other deliveries. Our convenience store plan has more than adequate storage capacity, requiring fewer deliveries than large retailers like grocery stores. In order to minimize any impact on neighboring properties and create the safest access route, fuel deliveries as well as large vendor trucks will enter on East River and exit on Redwood Highway. This was also to address some concerns that City Council members had in terms of ingress and egress for those vehicles. We have an exhibit that we've attached there as well, showing that traffic flow of the fueling truck. Our peak business traffic quarter also correlates almost exactly with the school summer schedule, which is June 9th to August 28th. And we made some calls around the community to try to find out what those schedules were and timing. And according to Stephanie Hogate at Evergreen Elementary School, they're not sure if they have summer session, but if they do, it will be limited to 2 weeks. We also called the middle school, Lorna Byrne Middle School, and Sandy Madden said summer school would be for 4 weeks from 8 a.m. to 12:30, and they expect upward of 25% of the students to participate in that. However, looking at the traffic pattern, the westbound students are more likely to use the sidewalks on the other south side of Lister Street. Finally, to address the high school students that travel through the areas with limited sidewalks 1 mile to our site on East River, we'll extend the sidewalk on the frontage of East River to our eastern property line to help improve the safety of those pedestrians. We have also, really focused on sight lines, and you can see that from our other exhibit. As Mr. Nolan mentioned, there's a 10-foot sight line requirement, and we have extended that on East River to 25 feet. And you can see that at 3 different corners of the site, there's a 25-foot sight line, and the only corner that there's not a 25-foot sight line is a right out only section. The City Council members expressed concerns about tight traffic flows through the site, especially during deliveries. And we addressed this in our site plan by designing the more space between the physical distance between the pump islands, and also shifting over the area where the tanker truck will fuel. To improve the flows, we've widened the area under the canopy to have large scale retailer through flow. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Costco, for example, but we are having that same spacing in between the pumps under the canopy. It's a 36-foot spacing that allows very easy access between those cars, again, to improve site level safety and ease of movement throughout that site. We wanted to make sure to thank Mr. Nolan for his help to make sure that we met or exceeded all the requirements on the project. We added the gabled canopy to match the building for aesthetic purposes and also to make sure we were within code. We have setbacks that meet or exceed the requirements, and our loading zone is above and beyond the code requirement, and we will maintain the existing sign for signage. Now, I'd like to just address some of the individual city council member concerns one by one and hopefully alleviate those from the last meeting. City council member number 1, Ethan Lane, mentioned concerns about on and off-site traffic. ODOT has a rigorous process of approving traffic entering and leaving a site. A licensed traffic engineer, and as I mentioned, that we have them present, conducted project-specific traffic analysis. And as can be seen from that analysis, our traffic impacts are substantially below ODOT's 50 trip threshold. The analysis shows that 2/3 of the site trips will be generated from existing traffic. Council member Lane also expressed concern regarding delivery egress through residential neighborhoods. As previously mentioned, we've solved that by making sure that the fuel truck enters on East River and exits on Redwood Highway. We've done the circulation test and they all allow for that flow. And as a fully attended site with pump attendance, as is required in Oregon, we will be able to have attendants helping to educate delivery drivers and steer them through the appropriate route so that they don't use different traffic patterns. So all delivery drivers and our employees should be exiting onto Redwood Highway through that regular course of traffic, which, you know, again, it should help with pedestrian safety and general flows. City Council Member 4, Jesse Dugas, expressed concern regarding deliveries during peak traffic schedule. To address these concerns, and as previously mentioned, we have confirmed commitment from our fuel supplier to make those deliveries outside of the peak traffic hours. These deliveries are also outside of any of the hours that our C-store vendors deliver. We reached out to our largest C-store vendors, and Columbia, Core-Mark, and Coke all agreed to make deliveries on different days. They all stated that they already make many deliveries in town. One vendor had over 35 deliveries that they do. And thus these trips already occur under existing conditions and would not generate new trips to the area. City Council Member number 3, Jean Ann Miles, stated that Little Pantry was already approved and that it seemed that there are adequate gas station services in town. To address this concern, we really wanted to highlight that we have a huge focus on alternative energy with the electric fast chargers. And there's a substantial gap in your community for that type of energy. And in that marketplace, both in count of EV cars as well as tourism by EV users is rapidly growing. We think that this is going to help support the tourism in the community. We've also seen, just through a simple supply and demand model, that more competition on the fuel side helps drive down prices for consumers. City Council Member Jean Ann Miles number 3 also expressed concern that traffic study timing was not during peak season. The ODOT's analytical requirements have rules that require an engineer to include a factor for peak season that is included in the study. During public comment, and I'd like to address Monique Allen's concerns, as well as the concerns of the other public comment that was received today. She was concerned that traffic was historically crossing from our site across East River through their site to avoid the traffic signal. We believe that enforcement needs to be a critical component of stopping this illegal vehicular maneuver. But we also have a plan to make sure that employees educate the vendors and that our whole staff is aware that they're not allowed to be making those changes, and that we should be reporting vendors that violate this rule, as well as the exit onto East River to vendor management. And we think that this will help reduce those incidents. And again, most importantly, we've also improved the sight lines in our plan on East River, really to that 25-foot sightline area, which is again above and beyond the 10-foot requirements, so that those pedestrians can be seen from much further out if there are pedestrians crossing in that direction. We really want to thank you guys for bearing with me and listening to the long response, but we hope that we addressed the critical concerns.
Thank you very much. I will now open the hearing for public comment. The city recorder will advise us of any chats that are received. Again, please include your name, reference agenda item number 8, and include your phone number. A mailing address would be beneficial. Each person that provides a chat will be called on, and then will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Any written materials you would like to present to the Planning Commission will need to be provided to the city recorder no later than close of business, April 13th. No, wrong date. How long do they have, Becky? Close of business, this is the 25th. Okay, I'll get you the date that you have to have it to. Let's begin with speakers speaking in support of this land division or subdivision. Again, people who want to speak in support of this, put your name and phone number as a minimum into the chat to the city recorder.
The first comment, are we speaking in support of or?
Support of.
These people have not designated whether they're speaking in support of or not. The first person that would like to make a comment is Dan Mancuso.
Please indicate whether you're in support of or not so that we can keep it straight.
The main reason I wanted to make a comment today was after the last meeting, I was a little, I don't know, disturbed, I guess, by the anti-sentiment towards this project. It's not up to the city council to decide how many gas stations we should or should not have. I found that comment pretty depressing. At one point in time here in Cave Junction, we had 2 gasoline stations on the intersection of Caves Highway and 199. Speedy Mart was a gas station. Cascade Auto was a gas station. First Community Credit Union was a gas station. I believe there was a gas station at Robbie's U-Haul, a garage across the street from this particular location was a gas station. And I believe there was one other gas station, which was right around the subway. I'm not sure where in that section, in that 200 block of Caves Highway was also a gas station. And so, as they said, they've met or exceeded every single item that the city requires to approve this project. And I've also been told, and I'm not 100% positive, but I hear the Little Pantry project is kind of on hold for a little bit. I'm not really sure where I got that, but I'm pretty sure I know I heard it. So I would strongly encourage them to approve this. The other thing too, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe fuel comes from the south up 199, and so they would be turning in and out of off of 199 if my knowledge is correct. So I wholeheartedly support this, and I have yet to hear anything that would give a legitimate reason to not approve this. When Grocery Outlet was going through this process, a lot of people threw a fit and they didn't want it, and now they're here and everybody's happy. So I think people need to stop being afraid of what if what could happen and actually try and start supporting people that do want to encourage commerce in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Other audience who wish to speak in favor of? Do we have any other chats?
Yes, Laura Mancuso.
She didn't want to talk on this.
She did say she wanted to speak.
That was me. I was under her name.
Okay, understood.
Asking for me.
Okay.
All right, so give me a minute. Monique Allen.
So I came in last time and appeared as if I was against it because of my concerns of the traffic. I'd like to clarify, I'm not actually against the proposed project. I don't see any issue with whatever number of gas stations we want to have in town. Any new construction, any commerce, I am definitely all for. I do appreciate you being worried about my concerns. I would like to note for the record that the Radio Shack property has not been vacant for several years. It has been vacant for less than 9 months. So I was basing my concern, in my opinion, off of a property that I've watched for 23 years and that only recently became vacant. And I do appreciate you guys are looking at what you can do for the traffic impact, as I'm concerned about, and a lot of citizens as well as the other council members. The main reason I'm speaking is that I'd like it on the record that if issues do arise, they can't correct the timing with ODOT, or ODOT, we start to see backups and major issues with the traffic. Is there going to be some way that it can be rectified? Are you guys going to be able to go back to ODOT and say, look, can we look at removing those medians or making the lanes wider so that it is safe for people to come in and out? The other thing I have that I just haven't noticed anybody talking about, and it has nothing to do with you being approved or not, but I am curious as to if you guys are going to be looking to being a 24-hour gas station or, just certain daylight hours. And I only ask that just to prepare my mind for the type of new nightly visitors we may end up with in the area. Again, I know that has nothing to do with approval. Just the more information the community has, the more apt everyone is to be excited and to welcome you guys, rather than, like fighting when Grocery Outlet tried to come in. Any commerce is good. I appreciate that you were responding to what I had said at the last meeting. That was all I have.
Am I allowed to answer
you-
that or no?
Let's go through the questions first, and then we will give you an opportunity to respond. So I'll just open the floor now to anyone any other comments in favor, but I think right now also any comments or anyone wish to speak in opposition to the land division. Again, put your name and phone number in the chat to the city recorder. Becky, do we have anything?
I don't see anything further.
Okay, so this is a time now for rebuttal. Does the applicant wish to respond? And you have 10 minutes to rebut or respond.
Yes, I'd like to answer the questions that she had. Our hours of operation that we currently have planned are 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. We believe that this will be the useful hours for the neighborhood and not disruptive hours for the neighborhood. And yes, we know that the Radio Shack operated as recently as September, I believe, of last year. So I apologize if that came from me or someone on our team in error. That's it.
Did you have any other comments you wanted to make?
No, I did not.
Does the staff have any further comments or need clarification regarding the application?
Mayor Martell, I would ask permission to allow Julie or Micah from ODOT to
Oh.
provide any comment at this point.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So who would like to go first?
I can begin for ODOT and then pass it over to Julie. Micah Horowitz, I'm a development review planner with ODOT. I'll just talk briefly about the evaluation criteria that we use when we look at a development proposal such as this. First off, we look at compliance with the statewide planning goal 12, which is more commonly known as the transportation planning rule. That can serve as a trigger for a traffic impact study if it meets certain criteria. Generally, those are a zone change or comprehensive plan amendment. This was a site plan review. It did not trigger a traffic study based on that criteria. The second criteria that we use is under the Oregon Administrative Rules. It's known as Division 51, which looks at access management. This proposal did trigger a change of use under our access management standards. And how that works is the applicant will be required to obtain a new approach permit because we do view that the trips coming into Redwood Highway under the proposed business are going to be different than under the prior business. Let's see, the other comments that we had, we recommend that the applicant obtain a miscellaneous utility permit prior to any disturbance in the state right-of-way. There's going to be nothing allowed to be built within the permanent easement. And we generally also like to look at drainage calculations, though in this case, it doesn't appear that there's going to be any change to the impervious surface. And Julie, I don't know if you want to add anything that kind of high level description.
I just want to confirm that the application for change of use has already been submitted to us. It's been accepted and approved as it was submitted. And then as far as traffic conditions, backups, if there's any concerns, if there's some backups, that's something that can be forwarded to our traffic unit so that they can do studies and maybe look at changing some of the timing on the lights. So that's always an option for us to have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Does any member of the Planning Commission have any questions for the staff or the applicant? And I'll start with council number 1.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a few things. I've taken a lot of notes, but I think a lot of those notes have been quelled by the discussion. First, on I think it was page 1 of the last agenda, I saw mention of a car wash. I wanted to make sure that that was a typo because with as tight as we think this is, I can't imagine a car wash being in there too. So that's question number 1.
That was a typo. It was a carryover from the previous review that I did on the little pantry, which is proposing a car wash. They are not proposing and never did propose a car wash here. I apologize for that error.
No worries. I also wanted to thank Mr. Nolan for his absolute thoroughness on these projects that we have. It's greatly appreciated, and you have like the T's crossed and the I's dotted. So I just wanted to make sure. Let's see here. You know, I'm a little concerned about the 2-hour observation period in January, which is historically the slowest time of the year for Cave Junction. Just a concern. The traffic study obviously has kind of, I guess, proved that wrong in most cases. The parking spaces. So the application shows that there's 17 parking spaces. The required is 13. And I did a little bit of research on whether or not EV stations were also considered parking spaces, and it kind of depends on the city. And we don't really have in our, at least that I saw in our city code, that those can be doubled as parking spaces. So that kind of drops it down to 13. And then we're eliminating the 3 parking spaces on the north end of the building for loading zones. So that brings it down to 10. And then it got me thinking even more, where are the employees going to park? Because I would imagine there would be at least 5 to 8 employees at any given time running the whole operation. I don't know anything about gas stations and how they run, but that's just my assumption. Let's see here. I did some research on local vendors. You're not going to get a 32-foot truck out here. The lowest you're going to get from the largest beverage company in the world, which is Coke, is 48 feet. Everything else is going to be 53 feet, whether you like it or not. And if you haven't found a way to persuade them otherwise, please send me an email because I'd like to have a chat too. Let's see here. That's all I have. And to put the cherry on top, I am all about more commerce coming into the Illinois Valley. It's super important for our economic vitality, and I 100% support more businesses coming into our downtown corridor to support our economic vitality. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Susha, would you like to comment? I believe those are directed for you.
Yes, and I would like to confirm that Cormark did say that they will have a 53-foot truck, and any trucks with trailers under our guidance to our vendors would follow the same traffic flow and park in the same location as the fuel truck. That way they are out of the way of both the parking spaces and the fuel pumps, and allow for transition throughout the site. Other smaller trucks will be able to reverse in. We did talk to Coca-Cola, who said that for our purpose and size, they have a 40-foot truck. And the other vendor that you mentioned before we also checked in with, which was Columbia, and they said it was a 48-foot truck. So again, I'm taking this from those vendors. But we really tried to address those concerns by both moving the canopy over, as you can see from this plan, so that the backup of the cars parking on that side by the electric chargers had plenty of space, and also incorporated that loading zone in order to allow for other trucks to load and unload out of the way of the customers. We would have 4 employees under most circumstances, and they would most likely be parking furthest toward the corner, so that the customers have the best access to the store.
Okay, thank you. Council number 2, further questions for the applicant?
Not
Or staff?
question. I just want to say I appreciate the work that the staff has put in, especially to clarify for us what our responsibilities are, and what we can do and cannot do. And to the applicants, thank you for addressing the question of ingress and egress. I prefer the layout that you showed us tonight, with ingress from River Street and egress onto 199. It calms my mind, and I thank you.
Council number 3.
I too feel much relieved. I really do appreciate the change in the presentation and the oversight that's been done and the revision that's been done in the presentation. I appreciate the wider sidewalks and the improved sight lines. I'm still concerned, how many actual parking spaces are there for consumers? I recognize you're going to have 4 for employees. Tell me, and I want up front for you to know, I made a comment at the last session. I appreciate the EV stations. That is so crucial. And I've been advocating for EV stations for a long time here in our city. And I am really glad to see you bringing those here. I think that is a huge element of economic development that has been lacking. So I'm glad to see that here. But I'm wondering if those count as parking spaces on your plan. So I'm a little concerned about that aspect. How many actual parking spaces are there for consumers to actually use? I like a lot of the changes that you've done, and I really like the change in the feeling that I get from your presentation. I also recognize that we can work with ODOT to change timing on lights and work if we need to down the road to mitigate traffic impact. And so I plan on keeping good contact with, or asking our Public Works Department to keep good contact with ODOT on those issues. So I guess my only real issue, I am concerned still about our pedestrians, but I think you've done a good job in trying to mitigate that. And again, I am also pro-business. I made the comment about the 4 stations just because. And as far as I'm concerned, if Little Pantry decides they're not coming, then, oh, well, they lose. I love the idea of the competition. I think that's really good. And we need all the help we can get. There's one business here that I wouldn't mind seeing go away. So if you guys come in and can mitigate these issues, that I think would be fabulous. So I am curious how many actual consumer parking spaces there are. That's my real only question.
I will, maybe I'll let Alan go first if he would like, but I guess one of the things I'll start with, we have 14 spaces. The electric charging spaces are also included in that count of parking spaces. We did not see anything in the code that prevented those from being counted. We also have to remember that 22 cars can be parked on this site at the same time, not including the vendors that can be also parked in the loading zone. We shouldn't have multiple vendors on site at the same time based on the feedback we've received from them. We've run a large number of stores in the past, so we have really great relationships, and they agreed to specific times to come onto the site. But there are 8 locations for customers to park at the pumps, as well as 14 total spaces on the lot. And really, we will encourage our employees to bike and hopefully be hiring from the local community so people have easy access to the site. And that should also help alleviate some of those concerns for the 4 employees that we will likely have there at most times during our operating hours.
Thank you. I really do appreciate the hours that you're open also. I think those are excellent hours, and we did neglect to ask you about that. But 5 a.m. to 11 p.m., I like that you're not planning on being open 24 hours a day. I applaud that decision.
Thank you. Council number 4, further questions?
Very thorough. Great job with this presentation. My concern is the same, the EV stations taking 4 of those spots. I know that there's nothing in the code that says that it can't. There's nothing in the code that says that it can. So my concern is that if they're not going to be counted, then it takes you down to 10. If they are, then you're at your 14. More of a comment than a question there. I think it's already been answered to the best of its ability, but there is my concern.
Okay, thank you. Mayor only wants to comment on, as an electric car owner, thank you for putting in EV stations. I don't need to use them, but I do know that there is nothing between Grants Pass and Crescent City. So that does complete a thoroughfare for electric cars going to the coast. So thank you for that. And I have no other further questions. So
Mayor, I believe Alan Sipe would like to make one comment in response to council questions.
thank you. I didn't see that.
Thank you very much. And my associate Jan really touched on all the great points for parking. So that's what I was going to address. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So hearing no further questions, I'm going to close the public hearing. The public hearing is now closed and we're going back to our regular council meeting. And I would entertain a motion and a second to either approve, to approve this application.
I move
I
that we
move that
approve
we
the
approve this.
application.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this application. I'll open this up for discussion. Council number one.
I guess I don't have any discussion at this time.
Okay. Council number two.
I'm good, thank you.
Council three.
I'm okay.
Council four.
Not at this time.
And the mayor doesn't have any questions, so I'm going to call the motion. How do you vote, Council one?
Reluctantly, aye.
Council two, that's an aye.
Enthusiastically, aye.
Council three.
Aye.
Council four.
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in this. It was a well thought out and informative session. I appreciate it. So moving on to agenda item number 9, executive session. We don't have anything, I believe, for executive session. So agenda item number 10 is comments from the recorder and council members. So does the recorder have any updates or comments?
I do not. I'll be posting the budget committee schedule soon. We will continue to have 2 council meetings a month, probably through the month of June. I'm working on getting the electricity installed and purchasing equipment so that we can have in-person meetings. I would love to do our meeting on May 9th in person, but that's going to be a short one for me, but I'll try. I will try.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so council members now have an opportunity to make comments. Councilor Lane, do you have any comments or last parting thoughts, words?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of parting comments. As hard as some of these meetings are, you know, I really appreciate the opportunity to really look at facts and not be emotionally driven on some of the decisions that are made for a community. And I appreciate being able to bounce ideas and comments and all of the things that we talk about through staff and being able to go down and talk to Rebecca and Lisa and even chatting with Ryan at the rare opportunity that I might get. It's just really well appreciated that we have a good team of people who can, you know, put some of our emotions aside and say, okay, well, let's give it a go and see what happens. So I appreciate all of you guys, and let's look forward to the next project.
Okay, Councilor Casey Jones.
Echo what Ethan said, and also the thank you to the community for showing up and being a part of this. Thanks to ODOT for being here, and to the applicants and all their staff, and Ryan and his team. We just really appreciate it, and we're getting better at this slowly.
Councilor Miles.
Hi. I guess what I should say is, first of all, I really appreciate the gentleman who presented to us tonight, and the whole, it feels like a totally different presentation tonight than it did 2 weeks ago. And I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to working with you folks in the future and having you in our community. I wasn't sure I felt that way 2 weeks ago. So I really am glad to see a change. And I want you to feel welcome here in our community and understand that we do care about each and every person in our community. And once you're here, you're a part of our family because we are a family and we care about everybody here. That's why if we came off as harsh about our kids or about our traffic or this or that or the other, it's because we give a damn. And we really do. We really do care about all 2,000 people who live here. Ryan doesn't live here anymore. Ryan Nolan, our planner. However, he's still ours. We still claim him because he's a good guy and he works with us. So I want you to know that once you're here, you're here. And we look forward to working with you. So please know that, you know, you can come to the council members and speak with us. I too really have enjoyed always that Becky's chair, she keeps warm for me, that anytime I want to come over there, she keeps a warm chair for me so that I can always sit and chat and learn. One thing I would like to ask is if we could get some training from the land use board so that we can do our job better. I think that there might be some training that's available from the land use board so that we can be more effective at this. And possibly even some training from ODOT so that we have a better idea about ODOT, how they make their decisions and things. It might be beneficial to us down the road. And I don't know when we would work that in, except maybe on a first or third, I don't know. Anyway, but I do want everyone to know how much I really do appreciate them. I feel very lucky to be a part of this community. One thing I learned about at the Hermiston conference was the value of being part of a rural community. I originally come from a large urban community and have always loved for the last 11 years that I have converted and changed to a rural community. Hermiston is very rural. And yes, we did get to bring home a watermelon seed. I am so excited to plant my watermelon plant. That will be really fun to have Hermiston watermelon here. But you all make such a difference to our community. And it is so, so important. Jean Ann's gem for the night is, why did she make things? Well, she enjoyed it, of course, but it also somehow helped her to remember who she was and where she came from. The entire way up there, I crocheted a scarf, and at conference sessions when they were slow, I did crocheting, and then I crocheted on the way home. And I kept thinking, well, why do I do this? It's because it's who I am and it's how I remember where I came from. And whenever I do scarf work or any crocheting, it helps me remember what I was doing at the time I was doing that crocheting. Just like I used to, Becky, remember crochet when I would be in council meetings watching what the proceedings were for 5 years before I came on the council. So we are part of a small community, and there are just fun things about being part of this small community. I am grateful to be here, and I wish you all peace and love, and keep smiling, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Councilor Dugas?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that no one ever said this job was going to be easy. And I appreciate everybody for their attention to detail. Everybody for attending. It was a well-attended virtual meeting tonight. I am looking forward to being back in chambers again, but thank you everybody for the effort that everybody put in. I'm looking forward to seeing another business here in town. I really enjoyed the presentation tonight. It was a lot better than 2 weeks ago. And that's it. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you. I'll just keep this short because I know it's getting late. I really appreciate everybody's input, and growth is never a simple, easy process. There's a lot of growing pains. I think Cave Junction is going through some growing pains right now, but I think it's really a positive thing that's happening in our community. And I'm very excited about all the energy that's happening. And I appreciate all the effort that everybody puts in and thought and care to make our community a better place to live. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, great. And it is, our meeting is adjourned at 9:04 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for all your work.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.